And then I say welcome everyone to this midterm assessment meeting of the FarmConners project. The agenda is we are going to start with a round of introductions and a little welcome. Then Dimitrios should be giving an introduction to how that review actually usually works, and then we'll go through the work packages before lunch and go to some of the go through the topical work packages before lunch. At least that's the plan. And then go through communication and management and what to do next after lunch. Just for a short recap, the narrative of the project was that we had wind farm control or wind farm flow control, as this is mostly dealing about, which has been a research focus for more than a couple of decades, and we've come a long way, but it's not really appeared in industry, and well, it sort of has appeared in the industry to some extent now, but it's not really widespread, and it's still a bit of a uphill still. And so the idea of the FarmConners project, of the FarmConners coordination action, was how to increase confidence in the wind farm control design methods, and the wind farm control methods as such, how to certify it, and what's actually the value of wind farm control. So how to remove the barriers for commercial implementation. And we had this set of partners that should be known by now. And of course, Energy now transformed into RWE Renewables, and that will be one of the topics for the afternoon. But I'll stop the sharing, and then maybe you start putting on your cameras, and I'll try to call you up in order that I have it here, so that we can actually get some impression of who's who and who's there. So maybe the first one would be Dimitrios.
Sure. So hello everybody. I'm very glad to be the project officer of this project. I am in INEA for the last almost 2 years now. Previously, I was working in DG Energy in the European Commission for 5 years in the unit that was responsible for innovation in low carbon technologies, mainly dealing with the strategic energy technology plan. And before that, I was a civil servant in Greece in the Greek Ministry of Energy and Environment, dealing with renewable energy technologies in the help desk for renewable energy technologies. I have a geographical background and urban planning in master's, but most of my professional career is in energy and in renewable technologies. So I'm happy to be your project officer for this very interesting project, and I'm looking forward to seeing the results of this first year of your actions. Thank you.
Thanks. Maybe the other EU guest as well.
Kadu, can you hear us? Is he there?
Yes, I can hear. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So hello everybody. Kadu here. So I work at the research for the Department of Research and Innovation, Clean Energy Transition. I am now responsible for the file of offshore wind. I'm also, I would say, relatively new to this field. I moved from the area of material sciences, where I was working before. I was much more focused on that part, mainly on advanced materials and nanomaterials. Yeah, and I mean, I'm looking forward to hear and learn a bit more about the project. Just to let you all know, I'll probably be hopping on and off of this of the review, just because I have another meeting around 10:30 or something like this. That should be a short one, but I'll be coming in and off, so just that you are aware of it. But yeah, thanks for the invitation. I'm very much looking forward to see what you have to present.
Sure, and no problem hopping in and out. Tufe?
Hello, everybody. Good morning. So I'm Tuf. I'm from DT Wind Energy. I'm a researcher there. I am sort of the WISE coordinator. I'm helping Gregor a lot with coordinating this project. And I'm also the work package leader for work package 5, which is a communication and the dissemination activities within FarmConners, which is a big work package for a coordination action, I would say. Yeah, so.
Actually, she's the one that does all the organizing, and I'm just the figurehead. Christine, who is the other one who is also doing a lot of the heavy lifting in assembling documents and so on.
Yeah, I'm Christine. I work at DTU Wind Energy as project coordinator. And yeah, I'm supporting Gregor and Tuf with different things. I've been working a lot on the periodic report, collecting input from all of you and making it into an actual report.
Good. Anna Maria?
I'm Anna Maria Sempreviva. I'm working at the DTU Wind Energy. I've been working in wind energy since '84, so it's a long run. And now lately I've been working with the mobility, or nowadays it's e-mobility, and then about open science, open data, and fair data. So, but I still work with research in wind energy, working on with roughness, length, description of the surface and the effect on the wind. And I'm the coordinator of the work package for mobility.
Yes. Kaushik, your finger is blocking the camera.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Kaushik. I am a researcher at DTU Wind Energy. I am also involved in FarmConners in terms of market and electrical integration. That has been my role in the work here. And I will also be dropping on and off with some other meetings.
And Søren?
Good morning, everyone. I'm an associate professor here at DTU Wind Energy, where I mainly do large scale simulations of farms. So I will be providing some of the benchmark data sets.
Thanks. And I think that was everyone from DTU.
Catherine here.
Oh, Catherine, hi.
One more DTU person. Yeah, Catherine Dykes, and I am a section head here at DTU Wind Energy in systems engineering and optimization, and I've done various things in wind farm control, and both in my past life, more in my past life actually at NREL, but you know, here at DTU, the folks in my section like Tufa and others are very involved.
Good. Then we go to Filippo.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I am Filippo Campagnolo. I am a researcher at the Technical University of Munich. I've been working on wind energy topics since the last 10 years approximately, especially the last 4 or 5 years. Dedicated quite some time investigating wind farm control strategies, testing wind farm control strategies. TUM is a leader of Work Package 1 that is about testing and validation, and so that's mainly also my contribution for this project.
And Carlo?
Yes, good morning, everybody. So my name is Carlo Bottassa. I'm the chair of wind energy at the Technical University of Munich, where I'm the director of the Wind Energy Institute. So we work on a broad range of topics in wind energy, and wind farm control is one of the main topics, and I work with Philippe on this project.
Good, then it seems that we don't have anyone from KU Leuven on the call, but Johan Meyer said he'd probably go for the total control meeting, which unfortunately had to be at the same time, but we'll fill him in afterwards. Then next on the list would be SINTEF, Constanze.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Constanze Kölle. I work at SINTEF Energy Research in Trondheim in Norway. And SINTEF is leading work package 3 in FarmConners, and that's my main role here. And otherwise, I'm a researcher in SINTEF, although my position title is research scientist, so somehow double.
Good. Then Senere, Irene.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Irene Guinoa from CENER in Spain. I'm the head of control engineering in the wind energy department. I was also project manager for CellWindCon, a previous EU project related to FarmConners. And I'm also coordinating the participation of CENER in FarmConners. Thank you.
Then I don't see anyone from TU Delft, is that right? Then the next one on my list would be University of Oldenburg, Vlahu.
So hi, I'm Vlah Petrovic from Forwind Oldenburg. Yeah, I've been working in the field of wind energy, especially control of wind turbines, wind farms for quite some years now, so that's why I'm also here. That's the all.
And then Mahmoud.
Hey guys, I'm Mahmoud Mirzai from Vestas. Yeah, we are from Vestas also interested in the project, FarmConners project, and we are following. Yeah.
Good. Then we got DNVGL. I start with Andreas.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I'm Andreas Maniok. I'm since more than 20 years in the wind energy branch. We are representing the certification part here in FarmConners, and I've been also involved in the EU projects in wind and Life 50 Plus before.
Thanks. Then Kimon.
Yes, hello, this is Kimon Algiriadis from the NVGL, and our interest is in load analysis and certification of wind farm control turbines, so have participation here in FarmConners and some other projects. We have in the past some German project, OWP control, and also the total control, which unfortunately runs in parallel today, and the CLWindCon project.
And Renzo.
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Renzo Rovisi. I've been working with the NVGL for the last 6 years or so, focusing on pre-construction and post-construction projects and CFD analysis, and lately in the last few years, focusing on wind farm control. And I'm the project manager for the NVGL, also including the third party, the VGL RC. And I'm mostly involved in the first two work packages and a little bit on the third.
Paul Brandt, I think we overlooked you. Are you from Vestas or?
Yeah, Paul is my colleague from Vestas. Sorry, this is Mahmoud from Vestas again. I don't know. Paul was had issues
here in the
with
chat. He says no audio. Yeah.
Yeah, he had problems with audio and he couldn't connect. So yeah.
Okay, good. Then we head on with the list. I saw Thomas.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Thomas Duc from NG Green, and I've been working for the past few years in the wind farm control here in France at NG Green, and as part of FarmConners, we are providing wind farm field data for the benchmark exercise.
And then we go to Klaus.
Good morning, Klaus Lindemann from RWE Renewables, formerly Energy. So as you might be aware, we just went through a merger. I'm working together. The renewables bit of Energy has now been combined with the renewables business from E.ON Renewables and Climate. Oh, vice versa, climate and renewables. So we are currently dealing a bit with ourselves. My role is a technical innovation partner. And as such, I've been involved in the wind farm control trials project of the Carbon Trust in the past, and joined to organize this project for Energy and now RWE as well.
Thanks. And then the last partner is ORE Catapult. That would be Michael.
Hi everyone, my name is Michael Smales. I'm a senior research engineer at ORE Catapult. My focus is more on the electrical side of offshore wind, but I've been in the industry for around about the last 7 years now. My role in the project is really the technical lead from the ORE Catapult side, and we're dealing with mostly work packages 2 and 3, leading some of the deliverables there.
Good. John?
Hi everyone, my name is John Wobu. I'm research engineer as well in the Catapult. I work with Michael's, being involved in various wind farm control projects such as FarmConners and also Total Control. And yes, I just assist in the different work packages in relation to that as well.
Thanks. And I see that in the meantime, Jan Willem van Wingerden has arrived.
Yes, so my apologies. I assumed that the meeting started at 10. Jan Willem Wingerden, a professor, Delft University of Technology. That's it.
Thanks. And with that, I leave the floor to Dimitrios, who should be introducing what this midterm assessment meeting is actually all about.
Thanks, Gregor. Hi again to everybody. So for the people that you are aware that you have been involved in other European projects, I assume most of the consortium are, this is kind of a normal process that we have. In the middle of the project, or depending of course of the duration, overall duration of the project, more times than twice, we have these review meetings in order to assess what is the progress that has been made so far from the beginning, always in comparison with what was foreseen in the grant agreement. This is the legal basis and the general basis where we base ourselves to assess the progress of the project. So it is part of your obligation against the European Commission to present in a technical report what you have achieved in the last 12 months for this specific project, and also to submit the financial statements in order to get paid for the job that you have done so far. Of course, you had the pre-financing that has covered a lot of your expenses so far, but there will be complementary payments, of course, based on your financial statements. This was anyway described at the kickoff meeting, how exactly this process works, which is that after the 12-month period was ended, you had 60 days to send us a technical report, and thank you very much for submitting it on time. And I had the time to see it, not in all its details, but I think it's a good report, a good quality. Also, having received the comments from the financial officers and also the open issue we have with the Energy merge, it's very possible that I will have to suspend the payment for the project. This is something very that happens very often to the projects in order to ask for improvements in the report or for changes in the financial statements. So I will. After the meeting is end, in the next days, I will send you a more detailed letter with the comments of the financial officer, some deviations that have to be corrected or justified. And of course, we need to discuss also the issue with Energy, because Energy did not submit a financial statement. So we have to see how we will deal with that for the first reporting period. So normally, after the technical report and financial statements are approved, so after the suspension period, you will get paid, and then the project, of course, will continue normally. But we also have to see how this will work together with the amendment, because this is still something that we need to discuss. Sometimes we cannot have the reporting period and the amendment running in parallel. It complicates the issue. And we have to see on what basis the work that Inogy have done so far with its previous name, how we can run the payment for that as well. So there are some details that we have to see how we will figure them out. So I think the report in many aspects was complete from the things that usually ask to be checked. I have seen the deviations in the deliverables. I still have to approve some of them. I will try to do that in the next couple of weeks. And if there are some minor issues that I want some clarifications, I will come back to you, as I said, in this kind of letter, where we will, in a way, freeze the payment for just a short period until you justify the issues that I will ask you, and then we will go back to normal. But from what I've seen, I'm quite happy with the report, with the progress that we've made so far. But I'm looking forward also to listening in more detail from this presentation today. And maybe at the end, I can be more detailed in the deviations that the financial officer spotted, and a few things that I also want you to have a look.
Good. Yeah, so I think then in the agenda, we are already essentially at work package 1. That would be Filippo.
Okay, I will share the screen then, Gregor.
Yeah.
Okay, you can all see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet, sorry, there it is. Now I should be fine.
Lovely.
Okay, so as Gregor said, I will first, I will go through the work package 1, that is about testing and validation. And so what has been done in the last, in the first year of the project. First of all, let me recall which were the objectives of work package 1 as specified in the grant agreement. So the main objective of work package 1 was to increase the confidence in the models and the control strategies. And we identified 3 objectives, which were the aggregate the experience of the past and ongoing activities concerning testing and validation of wind farm control strategies, design a benchmark on wind farm control strategies. So we will call it later, we decided to call it like wind farms, FarmConners benchmark for testing the available wind farm control models and strategies, and perform a further validation of the available wind farm control models and strategies through the benchmark so as to increase the confidence in the technology. This is the working plan that we foreseen for the work package. So you see that we defined 3 subtasks. The first one, state of the art, the second about the design of the common benchmark, and the last one about the results coming out from the common benchmark. We foreseen also 7 deliverables. As you can see, 2 deliverables for the first task, 3 deliverables and a milestone for the second task, and 2 deliverables for the last task. In terms of time planning, you see that the first 2 tasks were supposed to end by the end of the first year, while the last task was supposed to basically start close to the end of the first year and continue throughout the second year of the project. So now to review what we did for every task. So let's first look at task 1.1, state of the art. So the task was led by SENER, and all members of the consortium were supposed to participate to this task, and was about the state of the art. So the goals of this task was to establish the present state of the art about wind farm control testing and validation, define which were the available measurements and validation data sets, and establish open challenges and gaps concerning research that should be investigated in order to accelerate the implementation of wind farm control strategies in the field. So which kind of impact we can expect out of this task? So we expect to have a clear definition of the gaps and challenges that should be faced in order to allow a very quick and massive implementation of wind farm control strategies on existing and future wind farms. And we expect to have identification of accurate, cataloged, and properly documented data to be used for the validation of tools and methods that are employed for the synthesis, validation, and verification of wind farm control strategies. So we for this task, then we submitted 2 deliverables. The first one was about the organization of a workshop where attendees, 47 attendees from industry and academia, this met together on the very first day of the 2 days kickoff event meeting of the project that was held in Amsterdam, September 2019, and the attendees discussed about the research gap analysis on the wind farm control demonstration. So this deliverable, as you can see, was already delivered at the very beginning of the project. Then the second deliverable was about the presentation on a paper that was supposed to be presented at TORC 2020, a well-known conference in the wind energy community, about the research gap analysis. So the outcome of the workshop that took place on the very first day of the kickoff event. So indeed, a paper has been presented, has been written by the participants, by the members of the consortium, and has been also presented at TORC, and the title of the paper is Expert Elicitation on Wind Farm Control, as was published online on the 21st of September and was presented on TORC that took place, let's say, between the 28th of September and the 2nd of October of this year. So if you look at the working plan for work package 1, we see that we had 2 deliverables that were supposed to be submitted. First one was submitted in time. The second one was submitted with some delays, basically because TORC 2020 conference was delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. That's the main reason. So if we go forward and we look at task 1.2, what was about the design of a common benchmark. Again, the lead was again SENER, and participants were many partners from the consortium. And the goals of the project was to define the most relevant scenarios to test and validate the available wind farm control approaches, evaluate which were the available models provided by the members of the consortium, and also evaluate the available models by grouping the benchmark cases depending on the kind of control strategy or control design or control objective. Define also how the models should be evaluated. So define a common evaluation criteria and present the benchmark again at TORC 2020. So which kind of impact we expected through this task was to have a tool that allows the comparison of models and methods on the basis of a unified and established metrics, and also the possibility to involve the highest possible number of participants from both the industrial and the academic community. We foreseen 3 deliverables for this task. The first one, deliverable 1.3, where was about reaching consensus on the common test benchmark for code comparison, and this consensus was reached during the second day, or during the second, let's say, of the 2 days kickoff event in Amsterdam, and we also submitted the deliverable in due time. Within the due time, another deliverable was about deliverable 1.5 was about defining recommendation and best practices for the testing and validation of wind farm control strategies. And this again has been submitted already. And the final one was to launch the common test benchmark case for code comparison and present it at TORC 2020. Since the TORC 2020 was delayed, so the FarmConners benchmark was not presented at TORC, but in order to, let's say, respect the deadline, was presented through a webinar that was held on June 12th, 2020. Then again, for deliverable D1.4, however, we also wrote a paper as you can see here, that was again presented at TORC. The paper title launch of the FarmConners wind farm control benchmark for code comparison with with the authors as co-authors. You can see many members of the consortium, and the paper again has been published online on the 21st of September and presented during TORC 2020. I would like to spend some words about the design of common benchmark. So the webinar where we're launching the benchmark is accessible via the Wind Farm Control YouTube channel, and we provided a quite broad data set. So we provided for the comparison synthetic data set, basically coming from large energy simulations that were generated during 2 different projects, EU Horizon 2020 projects, which are Total Control and CL Wincon. CL Wincon has still terminated last year, while Total Control is still ongoing, I think. And also we provided wind tunnel data coming from experiments, again, conducted during the EU Horizon 2020 CL Wincon project, and also field data that came from a wind farm that were control testing were performed during the Smart Eole project, research project. Is a project funded by the French government. Currently, at this benchmark, there are 11 participants, but it's still possible to join the benchmark. So we hope that even more participants will join the benchmark in the next future. We created a public GitLab repository that include example cases. We provided a very detailed documentation that is available online about where you can find information about the benchmark, so the test cases, the data sets that are provided, which are the quantity of interest, which is a result that we expect, and also the deadlines, and also how to register to the benchmark. And a cloud folder, a folder for every participant where it's possible to upload the results. So concerning if you go back to the working plan, you can see that we foreseen, like, we had 3 deliverables that were supposed to be delivered for this task, and they were all delivered in the due time. Simply the only deviation is that the FarmConners benchmark was launched through a webinar and not a TORC conference, even if it was also presented at TORC conference, but however in September of this year. So as you can see, both task point 1 and task point 1.2 are completed as in agreement with what was planned. The last task is 1.3, and it's about the results coming from the benchmark. Again, in this case, the tool is leading, and we have several participants from the consortium, but even participants from outside the consortium. So the goals of the benchmark was to validate models against the FarmConners database that I recall consists of high fidelity simulations, wind tunnel experiments, and field tests. And the database is used to quantify and reduce the model's uncertainties by further training or tuning the models. And the model performance are compared and the results are presented at West 2021, so a Wind Energy Science Conference of next year that is going to be taken again place online, and also present the results in a paper that is published in a well-known open access journal that is Wind Energy Science. So the impacts of this task, we expect a gradual convergence towards the wind farm control methods whose benefits can be relied upon based on models' predictions. And we expect a better understanding of the potential in terms of increasing wind power production, of extension of the lifetime of the wind farm, or the overall reduction of the cost of energy of the most successful wind farm control strategies. So about this task 1.3, as I told you, it's something that is ongoing, so it's not ended yet. But all participants already defined which model or models they are planning to use for the benchmark, and also which data set among those that are provided for the benchmark they are planning to use for the blind comparison. And the production of the results is currently ongoing, and we expect the first results by the end of this year. We set a deadline so as to have all the results from all partners coming by the end of 2021. So as outcome from the outcome of this task will be presented, will be described in two deliverables, deliverable 1.6 and 1.7. Deliverable 1.6 will be, so we will complete the deliverable 1.6 once we will present the results coming from the test benchmark on wind farm control comparison at the side event of the Wind Energy Science Conference of next year. And also deliverable 1.7 will be submitted once we will publish the results of the common test benchmark. Especially what we want to do is to publish the results on a journal paper submitted to the Wind Energy Science journal. So if you look at the overall status of work package 1, so you see again, this is the working plan. As I say, the first 2 tasks are completed. We submitted all the deliverables, and then clearly the last one is still ongoing. And the last 2 deliverables are foreseen by the end of the project, almost close to the end of the project. About delays and deviations. So as I say, the deliverable 1.2, which was about presenting a paper talk 2020 on the research gap analysis on wind farm control testing and validation, was delayed simply because talk 2020 was planned in May, was shifted to September, October due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So the actual delivery date is 15th of October 2020, planned, while instead the planned delivery date was the end of May. The same goes for deliverable 1.5, that was about recommendation practices for testing validation wind farm control. The delivery date was 3rd of April 2020, while the planned delivery date was the 31st of January. And basically the reason, because the consensus among the partners was established mainly during the workshop on work package 3 that was held in Leuven in February. So this is the explanation for the delay of such a deliverable. And deliverable 1.4, as I said, was about the launch of common test benchmark case for code comparison. It was planned to take place during talk 2020. Again, that was shipped, and so it was presented for a webinar instead. That was held on on the 12th of June, and actual delivery date is the 16th of June. The planned delivery date was the 31st of May. So ongoing activities. So the only ongoing activities with work package 1 is the task 1.3. It's about common benchmark individual results. And as you can see, we have the following activities. So we will have to collect the benchmark results. This is an activity that we will be in charge, but with contribution for all participants to the task. And this will the information coming from this activity will be described in both the deliverables 1.6 and 1.7. And then we will have to submit an abstract so as to present the results coming from the benchmark at WESC, and this is due by January 2021. We will have to present the result at WESC, and this is again so something that is going to be done next year, and we will have to submit a paper to Wind Energy Science Conference. This is foreseen for August 2021. So in terms of overall of the contribution, in terms of person months, so totally, you see the overall budget for work package 1 was to have 35.55 person months. And we have an overall consumption of 15.7 man months, person months that were consumed. As you can see here, it's listed the efforts that every partner dedicated to the work package. So you can see that for many partners, the dedicated effort is quite in line with the expectations. There are a few partners where the contribution in terms of man month person man months. It's quite below what was foreseen, especially KU Leuven, University of Oldenburg, and Energy. As you can see that they contributed less than what is expected. But the reason is that the partners will focus their effort mainly on comparing the FarmConners benchmark data against their simulation tools. And this activity is going to take place during the second year of the project. So this is the main explanation. However, as you can see overall, many man months are still going to be spent for work package 1. But clearly, quite a lot still is ongoing, especially the task 1.3. It's about the benchmark. So a lot of effort is going to be dedicated by the partners on that task. So this is perfectly in line because clearly partners will have to perform simulations, and the results will have to be compared against the data set provided, and we will have to present the results at the conference and also write a paper. And so this clearly is going to take quite some time. So I think overall, what has been spent so far in terms of man months is it's definitely very well in line with the expectation. So this is the overall description of what has been done for work package 1. And welcome if there are any questions or doubts.
Can I? Dimitris here.
Sure.
Thanks, Filippo. That was a very nice presentation, and it gives a quite good overview of the work that was performed in the work package 1. I'm also happy in the detailed explanation of the technical report. What I would ask is that at the beginning of the technical report, where you have listed the objectives for each of the work package, I've seen that you have 3 main objectives for work package 1, and then they are divided in some sub-objectives. When somebody reads that part, and it's actually at the beginning of the report, so it's relatively important, it's not really clear which objectives have been addressed and which have not. So in a few cases, you have provided examples that we have addressed this objective by this workshop or whatever, but in other cases, you just mentioned the objective as it was probably written in the grant agreement, and it's not easy for somebody to understand if this objective has been progressed and by how much. Not necessarily as a percentage, but what exactly you have been doing the first period. I can give you an example. You say, for example, for the overall objective for aggregate the experience of the past and ongoing activities in test and validation of wind farm control. And a sub-objective is to define available measurements and validation data sets. But I cannot understand if you have touched this during the first reporting period. This is what I mean. Of course, you can find some information later on when you are going into the details of which deliverables have been concluded or not. But I think it would be useful to have it there as well, because this report will also go to the Commission colleagues, and I think it's good that they understand where we are in terms of achieving the objectives. This is a comment that is relevant for all the work packages, not only for work package 1, but it's a good moment to say. For example, in work package 2, it's the same. I have 3 objectives, but I don't see what has been done in the first reporting period. Apart from that, I want to take the opportunity also to thank you and thank all the partners in the project of trying to respect all the deadlines despite the difficulty with the COVID-19. I did not mention that at the beginning, but it's more or less self-evident. We understand that there are many difficulties. I hope that you all remained safe, and I appreciate a lot the fact that you did not have major delays, even though the pandemic could have caused quite a few issues. Just to assure me that the small details that I've seen so far, they do not affect other parts of the work. From what I have understood, from what I've read, they do not really. They will probably not cause any other delays in future work. So you foresee the future work in work package 1 to be concluded on time. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. In reality, as you can see, the delays were mainly about presenting results. That's simply due to the fact that the conference, for example, TOR 2020 was delayed. But this didn't have an impact on the flow of information within the consortium from work package 1 to the other work packages. So these didn't have any impact. So we do expect to finish everything in time.
Okay, that's what I understood also from your presentation. So that's my comments, and thanks again for a good presentation.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, also thanks from my side. And I think we'll continue with Andreas and then have a coffee break, as we're well ahead in comparison to the program so far. But that can change quickly. I know how that is.
Yeah, hello everybody. Thank you for the invitation, Gregor. And you can see my slide?
Andreas, we see the working part of the PowerPoint, not the presentation.
Okay.
Now it's okay.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm presenting here the work package 2, certification and standardization. And I have to say that this coordination was originally assigned to TU Delft, and the INVGL took over the coordination beginning this year. We have almost involved.
Excuse me. But we have also the presenter's view on the screen. We have two views.
Okay.
Now it is the right one. Thank you.
So we have almost all partners of FarmConners involved in work package 2. We have TU Delft, DTU, TU Munich, Leuven, SINTEF, Oldenburg, Vestas, Angers Green, Energy, now RWE, and ORE Catapult. Yeah, our tasks are regulatory issues, how to go forward with certification for farm control, and make proposals for new standards and guidelines to bring farm control to the market to enable quick introduction into commercial applications. We are a small partner within the overall FarmConners package, so we just have 3 deliverables in our grant agreement. And the first deliverable was to publish a position paper on certification and standardization. And this has been done in July this year, in summer, in time. So there have been no time delays on this. This paper has been reviewed and also uploaded now to the FarmConners website. The next deliverable we have in common is coming soon. That is a workshop where we want to discuss what we have proposed in this position paper to the public and to the shareholders, stakeholders of wind farm control applications, with the operators, with the wind turbine manufacturers, OEMs, and the universities and the research community, how to bring wind farm control quicker into the market. And originally, this workshop was planned as a side event, as a physical workshop, as a side event on the Wind Energy Hamburg in December, and unfortunately this conference has been cancelled for the physical part, and I'm coming later to that, what this means also to our project planning. The final deliverable will be our recommendations for new standards and certification guidelines, and this was originally planned for month 15, and since this was directly related to the shifted conference, we suggest to postpone this deliverable at least to spring 21. So the result is that we want to include the discussion and the results from the workshop, and from the interviews we performed with OEMs and operators, come into our final recommendations, feed in for our recommendations for new standards. I'd like to give you now a short summary of what we have published so far in our position paper. We gave an overall overview on which standards already exist to certify wind farm control. And there are mainly the IEC group to mention, and our DNVGL standards that include possibilities to certify already wind farm control. And we have listed every standard related to that, and also the numerous grid requirements that also have an impact how to implement wind farm control in practice. We have given a broad overview on how control is performed today and how it should be and how it's planned to be in the future. And we have addressed the still complicated situation that the physics, the wake, the flow distribution through a wind farm is such complex that the existing simplified methods we have, for example, right now in the edition 3, and the change to edition 4 with dynamic wake approaches need further elaborate, need further studied to capture the effects we see in wind farm control on the individual turbines. This is what we are looking for, and this is still, there's still a lot of need of research to do, which is done, for example, in work package 1. Finally, we have listed the existing possibilities for certification in our DNVGL service documents. And we have already a solution to certify preliminary, temporarily, a wind farm control implementation according to our service specification 0190. And this required then a measurement campaign in the real wind farm on site to validate the assumptions made in the calculations before and turn this conditional certificate into a full certificate afterwards. So this is an existing approach that can be applied already. In parallel, we have the risk-based certification approach, which is a general approach typically applicable to novel technology where we have gaps in standards, and this approach with the systematic decomposition of components, failure mode analysis, risk analysis, risk assessment leads to comparable safety levels as existing standards. So those are strategies that we proposed in our position paper, which can be applied directly now. Those have to be developed further in then our final deliverable. So this is what to come next. The workshop in December with DTU, we have agreed that we will have the workshop together with total control workshop, not in parallel, next to site event in week 50 or 51. This is not finally decided yet, but before Christmas. And we have already made a planning and a preparation of this workshop. I show you soon. And then, as I said, in spring, we want to perform, we want to write the recommendations based on those workshop results and based on the feedback on our position paper. This is the workshop planning we have developed so far. We have some contributions already from partners. Some are still in development. And the workshop is planned for 3 hours roundabout, maybe 3.5, depending on the feedback and the discussions then going on. We will have a panel, discussion panel, expert panel in this meeting, and we want to have it via Zoom and distribute it to all interested partners and stakeholders related to wind farm control. After our position paper, we have started with a series of interviews focusing especially on the operators and the turbine manufacturers. And those interviews have been revealed very interesting insight. First, how far the realization already is going on commercially in the turbine development, in the wind park development, and which obstacles they see. And often they are deviating from this, what is seen technically on the research side. There are some formal, often some formal obstacles they see, and they gave really valuable input right now for us as a certification body and for FarmConners to prepare measures to bring farm control implementation further on. Just to give you a short overview, what has been the basic results from those numerous interviews we have made. What I was astonished that is already the standard to analyze optimization of wind farms in a pre-development phase, and working already with different power set points in wind farms. So this is obviously state of the art already for the manufacturers. And we received the feedback that the risk-based approach is appreciated as a certification aspect to mitigate the risk related to wind farm control. the point here is, of course, that when we have wake steering working with higher yaw angles in the operation, there must be assured that the technical and the structural integrity of the turbine is not affected by those control strategies. For this, a technology qualification would be an appropriate measure to mitigate those risks. The just mentioned preliminary certification approach was not that seen so appropriate. So we have to discuss how we make this approach maybe more attractive. Main reason was that the investors do not want to have a delayed risk assessment. They want to have the certificate right now in the start of the project and do not want to wait for completion of measurements. Another finding was that still the tools need further development to predict the flow, the wake mitigation, the wake flow in wind farms and in relation with wind farm control. And what companies doing right now is to apply their experience they already have, for example, in complex terrain calculations and the IEC approach. So this is the level they can perform, and the high sophisticated simulation times tools with high CPU times are not seen right now developed so far that they can use for certification. Coming briefly to our planned contributions and publications on papers, we will contribute on the deliverable 3.2, the definition of showcases and benchmark market scenarios. And we have submitted an abstract for the Electricity Conference in Copenhagen and also for the WESC Conference, Wind Engineering Science Conference in Hanover in May, together with our colleagues from Renewables Advisory. Coming to the use of resources in work package 2, so far, you can see that we have a big budget of more 3/4 almost remaining. So we have been very efficiently with the first deliverable. What you can see also is that on the first deliverable, mainly SINER, ORRE Catapult, and SINTEF contributed, beside DNVGL, of course, who has been the main contributor to this first deliverable. And this is a challenge for the next deliverables, for the workshop, to integrate the other research partners, TU Delft, University of Oldenburg, for example, more intensive into work package 2, the certification issues. This leads me to the overview on the status and the deviations. As you see, we have spent less effort for deliverable 2.1, basically due to the focus on only a few FarmConners partners just mentioned. We have spent 1/4 of the eligible budget right now. We see that we will not use the travel budgets originally assigned, especially for the Wind Energy Conference. So this money will be transferred. I think we will discuss this later on today in the meeting. We decided to go for our own workshop, then not to go with the online conference of the Wind Energy Conference, because this is then related to high conference fees for our participants, and we decided that this is for just one meeting, not reasonable. The standard and recommendations development, on the other hand, we estimated some more effort than originally planned, because as it's shown up, many technical issues are still to solve, and we have to go also into the research results, how wind farm control have impact on the turbine lifetime on specific components. And this cooperation with research, I think, will sum up take more effort than originally planned. However, we have the remaining budget, and we would like to shift this into deliverable 2.2 and 2.3. So this is my presentation. Yeah, please ask question.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Andreas. Thanks for that. Yes, I've seen that, of course, you could not do the workshop, the deliverable 2.2. So this is now for December, foreseen for December. And then when do you expect to have the deliverable 2.3 ready? After maybe a couple of months or 3 months? Because now I see that the updated planning says that the D22 will be completed in December, so by month 16, and the deliverable 2.3, when do you expect to have it finalized?
So I think March, April 21 would be a appropriate date for finalizing D2.3, the recommendations. So 3-4 months after the workshop in December.
And would that play a role for other for delays in other work packages? No, it is kind of an independent work, right?
Yeah, and moreover, we have the opportunity to collect and gather more information from the research package from the benchmark testings into our deliverables. So as a small partner, depending on the input from all the others, so we get connected to them and we need the input, and I think this will improve the deliverable at the end.
Are you saying that you could actually use some of the benchmark results and the results of that benchmark paper?
Exactly.
So then we might want to actually push that even further out until after we know the benchmark paper, which is, I think, at the WESC conference in May.
It would be a good option. So I think we can discuss it further on. As it is not conflicting, or is the other deliverables in FarmConners are depending on us more than we are depending on the deliverables from the research parts. I would see that we are quite flexible in that regard.
Okay, then what I propose is that you make a kind of a updated planning for the timing, but also for the resources that you asked, that you might need to move some resources from unused travel budget. I would need a clear justification also for that in order to approve. I don't think that we need to have an amendment for that. But I would need a clear justification, and also in connection to the updated planning. So that would be fine. And then the other comments that I did for work package 1 apply here as well. So for in the objectives part of the technical report, just a very short reference to where we are in terms of achieving the objectives. So 2.1 is completed, 2.2 is to be made within December, and the last one to be concluded in the end of the spring, to 2021 probably.
Yeah, I can briefly report that we have basically 3 objectives: meet the overview on needed regulatory issues, and this is basically formulated in our position paper. Find research gaps, which already also addressed in the position paper, and the objective developing of recommendations and new standards. That is what is ahead of us. So this is indeed the one objective we are now focusing on.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That's from my side.
Thank you very much.
Does anyone else have questions to work package 2?
I have a comment here, Paul from Vestas. It's perfectly correct that the OEMs are not so happy about temporary, conditional site-specific design appraisals because that leaves our investors out in the dark. So that's very good and very important point. But this risk-based approach was also that we see that we will not have fully verified and validated tools for wind farm control before we need to go out with this technology. So that the risk-based approach was not to take zero risk, it was to acknowledge that this is a new field, like when you, say 20 years ago, put turbines up in complex terrain and you had to develop the models as you went along. I think that's important, otherwise if we sit and wait for verified and validated models, then this tech won't be out in the next 5-10 years. So it's not to have zero risk, but to have some risk.
Yeah. And thank you very much, Paul. And absolutely correct. And thank you for the addition and the feedback. And the technology qualification is a methodology which allows to capture existing risk and also develop with additional measures to mitigate those risks. So I see there that also with the existing tools and the development stage of the existing tools, the limitations that we can create or define measures to overcome those uncertainties in the existing tools, but with the aid of the technology qualification.
That's good, thanks. And of course, we also don't want to repeat some of the mistakes made in complex terrain 20 years ago. So, yes.
Yeah, and of course, ideally, of course, we bring all those experience in now. Thank you very much, Paul.
Yeah, you too.
Maybe also a comment from the end user. When I started to try Klaus here from RWE, when I tried to initiate the first trial projects for wake steering, I met a lot of resistance in the fleet operators because they just thought that risk was they thought too risky, and they weren't not really willing to listen to the benefits. But I think over the last about 2-3 years, that seems to have changed. People are aware of this opportunity now. They start looking deeper into it. They do not get scared anymore right away when you tell them that you might want to yaw your turbine intentionally wrong by some 35 degrees. That they're happy now to look deeper into it and to understand what's in it for in terms of benefits.
That's good to hear. Thank you for this good feedback.
And also can confirm the comment that we wouldn't like these temporary approvals. We should be clear upfront if we can utilize something or limit it, but not have a reassessment in the operation that might lead to a revision of what has been initially granted.
Yeah. That is what we understood.
Good. Any more comments or questions? If that is not the case, then I would say we take 10 minutes break before we go to work packages 3 and 4. We are still slightly ahead of the progress of the agenda, which is a good thing. So let's keep that up. And thanks for all the speakers and commenters so far.
When we do continue?
I would say 11:05.
All right.
Okay, I hope most of you have stocked up on coffee now. We go back to the next part of the agenda, which is the progress of work package 3. Constanze, please, and I'll better stop my sharing then.
Yep. Okay, can you see my presentation or the wrong side?
It's the wrong way around.
Oh, sorry, I'm usually using Teams. Now it should be correct, I hope.
Yep.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so I represent work package 3, the electricity market integration. Sorry, I had to find my mouse. And according...
So basically,
I assume that was not a comment for me since it stopped. So the objectives of work package 3, according to the agreement, is to look into the benefits of wind farm control in terms of the capabilities of better ancillary service provision and management, as well as the economic yield increase. And there are 3 sub-objectives. The first one is to investigate the state of the art, which means to look into which ancillary services or intraday markets can be addressed, and then the value creation of wind farm control that is potentially there should be described. The second objective is to define the showcases for wind farm control, similar to the benchmark scenarios that Filippo presented earlier, and then to quantify the benefits of wind farm control methodologies in flexible, which means more volatile electricity markets. And the third objective is to reveal the potential impact of market benefits of wind farm control when we consider also the design phase. Work package 3 is covering the whole project period of 24 months. It's led by SINTEF. And we have 3 tasks, and each task addresses one of the objectives. And here's the, you see the list of partners. That's more or less each partner, I think, except 1 or 2 of the consortium that are involved in work package 3 and the allocated effort in person month. If you look at the work plan and the tasks, so the yellow box is the reporting period, while the arrow indicates where we are right now. And as you see with the checks here, check marks, we finished everything we are supposed to do right now. So I'm done with my talk. Okay, careful with stupid jokes on online conferences. So if we look into the task 1, the value creation, that is led by Catapult, and yeah, you can see the list of participants there. So the idea here was that the market for the balancing and ancillary services that adapt power in response to dynamic grid requirements is growing, and especially within Europe. And the market structure is still nationally diverse. And the task here was to look into relevant balancing markets and market targets and discuss the potential value of wind farm control in those scenarios. And this was done at a workshop in Leuven in February 2020. And the workshop's title was Current and Future Market Challenges for Wind Farm Control. And this workshop was publicly announced at the FarmConners project webpage, at LinkedIn, and then we had also a flyer that was distributed by mail that you can see there on the right side, listing some of the speakers. Yeah, the workshop can be watched on YouTube still, and this is a picture on the second day, and those that were still there right at that time. And here's a list of participants. So we had 33 participants in Leuven, and 8 joined online in addition. And we reached, so both consortium members, of course, participated. Then we had some invited speakers and interested others, so it was open to the public. And participants were from research institutes, certification agencies, and also the industry. And okay, research institutes includes universities, of course. And so we reached quite some people there, I would say. And just to give an idea, what we discussed was that the wind farm control has an evolving value that is changing and will change probably. Now we identified some key areas for value creation, and also which tools would be needed for a successful implementation. And the results of these discussions went into deliverable 3.2, and were used while preparing that. And during the workshop, we also used the time to finalize the benchmark for package 1 in the separate consortium meeting aside. So task 3.2 is on the market showcase. The task is led by SINTEF, and this task should demonstrate the value of wind farm control in existing and upcoming market scenarios. And the idea is to define market scenarios similar to those benchmark scenarios where we have flexible or changing electricity prices, and then how can the wind farm control benefit in such scenarios. And for that task, we have defined 3 deliverables according to the EU portal. The first one is presentation at the Wind Integration Workshop in November this year. The second one will be a publication at the Wind Energy Science Conference, or presentation. And then there's this final publication scheduled in August next year, I think after the final project meeting. And the definition of showcases for wind farm control that was started in the reporting period and then finalized just afterwards. And the main contribution partners were SINTEF, DTU, SINER, and Catapult, which are also co-authors of the paper that was submitted and accepted at the Wind Integration Workshop. And ENGIE and Energy, or the RWE, contribute also with some input to that. This will be published in the conference proceedings and will be presented actually on Thursday this week. And this also marks milestone 2, the market showcase for wind farm control. They were defined, and that is due in November this year. And for the showcases, so the idea is it's going to be similar to the benchmark in work package 1, so everyone can participate. We prepared documentation on GitLab, and that's just the first page here you can see. And this will be announced also at the FarmConners web page at LinkedIn, so we will use the channels that we used before, apart from the conference that will be presented this week. And then participants are invited to become co-authors of the final publication to increase the interest there. In task 3.2, there's still work in progress right now. So one is the publication at the Wind Energy Science Conference in May next year, where we will present the results. And then the final results are supposed to be published at the end of the project period. And then we have an additional deliverable of 3.2, because we realized while we prepare those showcases that there are way more topics you would like to discuss in the conference paper, but there was no space for it in this conference publication. And we would also wanted to reach a larger audience with this article. So therefore, we are working on an additional journal paper, which will be submitted between the Wind Integration Workshop this week, and the Wind Energy Science Conference in May next week. And right now, the contributing partners are listed there, and this is led by SINEA, while the Wind Integration Workshop paper was led by SINTEF. Task 3.3 is on the design phase, and NG Green is leading this task. And the idea here is to look into if there's a potential cost benefit of wind farm control if it's considered already in the design phase. And the grant agreement states that there will be a mini symposium at WESC next year, and also summarizing report at the end. If you look a bit more into the details, so within the reporting period, it was announced at the workshop in Leuven that we have this, and there were some first ideas discussed. Then we discussed more topics in the consortium meeting in June. And now NG invited speakers from both inside and outside the consortium. And open tasks here are to finalize the list of speakers on topics, and then submit the abstracts of the speakers in January. And then there will be the mini symposium held at WESC 2021. So those were now the 3 tasks of work package 3. And now I will just present again and summarize the overall status. So task 3.1, it was completed with the workshop in Leuven. The market showcases are going on, although they are finished now and will be published this week. But the results will be presented at the end of next year. No, of the project period, sorry. And task 3.3 started in the reporting period, and the main deliverables are still open. And as you can see here, there are no official deliverables listed in the EU portal. And there was a slight confusion between deliverable numbers and what is going on there, but I will come back also to that later on. But we suggest here to define an official deliverable for the mini symposium at WESC, which would be in month 21, the same as the market showcases. So ongoing next steps again. So in task 3.2, the market showcases, the presentation on Thursday of the market showcases will happen. Then there will be an additional journal paper led by SINEA to discuss more aspects that had no space in this conference contribution. And there will be this abstract submission in January to be allowed to present it at the RESC, the first results of the market showcases. And then for the design phase, similar speakers are invited to submit then the abstracts in January to hold the presentation at the mini symposium at RESC. And yeah, as I said, we would like to include this as an official deliverable. I mean, it's mentioned in the grant agreement, but it's not in the portal. Oh, sorry. So yeah, and here I also put it there to show you where I see that. Going into the effort in the person month. So in total, yeah, 10 of 20 person months were spent, and we are halfway in the project, so that's quite okay. And for many partners, the dedicated offer is also in line with the expectations. We have 4 partners that spent none of their budgets, which are here. Yeah, you can see it yourself. The idea is that they will participate in the market showcases and use their budget to do this. Then we have a deviation here that SINTEF overspent the person month. However, it's according to the resources, it's as planned. The reason that the person month were overspent is that when we applied for that, the plan was that a senior researcher would take the lead on work package 3, because I just started in SINTEF at that time. But then since I then got the lead for work package 3, and I'm cheaper, but needed a bit more time to get into it, I used more time, but it's still within the budget, and we will be able to deliver the coordination of work package 3 as planned with using the resources, although we need more person month. And our Catapult also used a lot of the budget, but they will also still be of the person month, sorry, but they will also be able to deliver as promised in the next year. Yeah. Then if we look into the delays, so we had one delay. The workshop in Leuven was originally planned in January, but then we couldn't find the date in January, so it was happening in February in the beginning, and then the actual delivery date was the 28th of February, because we had to compile the outcome of the discussions within the partners after the workshop. And now to summarize the deviations that I mentioned before. So we have no deliverable assigned to task 3.4, and therefore we suggest to add one for the mini symposium at RESC. We realized that we couldn't put all the content that we think is important into the conference paper of D32. So we are working on an additional journal paper, but there would be no corrective action needed because partners use the allocated funding for this task. Yeah, as I said, SINTEF spent more person months than allocated in work package 3, but still we will be able to deliver. That was because fewer senior researchers worked on the project. And our Catapult slightly overspent this person month in the first reporting period, but they will be able to deliver as planned. Then there was, the objectives when they were defined for the work package included ancillary services, but the tasks then and the deliverables do not really include ancillary services. So the deliverables are according to the grant agreement, but still during the discussions we realized that it would be good also to look a bit more into ancillary services, because right now researchers are working either on the wind farm flow control or on the electrical side, and therefore, because there will be some budget left, as we know, because of the Corona crisis, we would like to propose an additional task and that would be a publication, something into the direction of roadmap for the harmonization and integration of electrical and flow control in wind farms. But this will be discussed also later. I just wanted to mention it here because it is part of would be part of work package 3 if this should be realized. Thanks. That was everything from my side.
Thank you, Constance. Dimitris here. It's good to show it. I think this is one of the really important work packages for this project, how this will be integrated in the energy markets. I think it's also what you mentioned, and also in the report is quite complete in terms of what you have done, you know, conferences and all that. In the report, I miss a little bit of content, I have to say, in terms of what have been the results so far. Of course, I understand it's work in progress. This is clear. And for example, I think the second deliverable is still not finalized. The third task only just started. But still, I would like to see a little bit more of what you have learned from what you have done so far. I think that a good place to put that is in the impact session, which is, as it stands now, it's a bit short. And this comment is also relevant for the other parts of the work, for work packets, for the other work packages as well. So I still I miss a little bit to elaborate on the content, because as I said, the report is in general rather complete in terms of what you did, the conferences, the workshops, and the deviations and all that. But I would like a little bit more of flesh in that part. And since you are overall responsible for the report, as I heard at the beginning, I think you are the right person to say that. So apart from that, everything is fine. For the additional task, we need to discuss, because especially if it is like an additional deliverable or we need to reallocate resources, this needs to be done via an amendment. This is the normal process, especially if it is to add a deliverable. And if we need to have an amendment in order to introduce the new partner, maybe we can take the chance and combine these type of changes. But of course, this we need to further discuss. You need to justify well why there is an added value for this additional task, and we can then proceed accordingly if we see that there is real and added value for the project to have this additional task.
And it will be also, Gregor will take this up later on. So just want to mention it now. Yeah, but,
no, it's good that you mentioned it. It's the relevant place, but of course we can elaborate more. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks. So Anna Maria, yes. Can we go to work package 4?
Yes. Can you see?
We can see a Firefox window.
A Firefox window. Because I have a standard screen. Just a moment.
Or Google Chrome or whatever, a browser window.
You see now the presentation?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, fine. So this is work package for mobility and networking. Of course, this is a coordination action, so we thought that this was a good work package to put in this program. And we kind of got inspired from another mobility program which was the IRP Wind Integrated Research Program on Wind Energy for the FP7. but there was a bigger program. This one is we offer shorter mobilities, but anyway, let's see what it's about. The objectives, of course, since some coordination action is to support the effective execution of the project activities, was the first objective. Then to facilitate the coordination and cooperation between organizations and knowledge transfer and access, because this was just to transfer knowledge about between people and improve the state of the art of the wind farm control issue. And then to facilitate building a network of organization with a joint goal of harmonization of wind farm control interests and activities. An example of activities that could be, they were planned, so joint papers, writing joint papers, designing benchmarking, choose case studies and detailed discussion of the case studies. And this actually, in the only mobility grant that was granted, this was what happened. So in a way, we started well, but the problem with this was that with the COVID-19, the first and last grant was just before the closing. Anyway, the deliverables were 3, but the first year it's only 1, is the yearly activity report, which was a collection or report of the activity for each grant. So it's only 1 grant, but it is done. And then there was 2 deliverables are planned for next year: a lecture on added value of mobility schemes for coordination action in Europe, and then the collection of reports of the activity for each grant and the analysis with because each report had a survey and a questionnaire. Sorry, but I think that it's very difficult to do these 2 deliverables, because I mean there is no mobility in this program, unfortunately. But so the work plan was this one, and the task 141 was the implementation of the calls for application and evaluation process. It was the milestone 4, which was the opening of the web page, which was done, and then the deliverable for 1, the deliverable of the yearly report. Then the task for 2 was monitoring the effectivity and success of the scheme using surveys and reporting. And then the for 3 was increase the awareness of mobility in Europe. But as I said, I mean, this is kind of in standby. The implementation of the calls for application and the evaluation process, as said before, due to the COVID-19, has not been very active. But the task 1 involved lead DTU, but involved all the participants. And the goal was to define the financial rules and opening the web page, and then follow the review process and be reviewer in relevant topics. So the mobility funding that we divide was for 2 types: for managers and for PhD up to senior scientists. For managers, we planned only 1 week. They could apply for less than 1 week because managers are very busy. But then also managers of the work packages were also allowed to go for less than 1 week. And this happened with Costanza, but we will go back later. So the scheme was that each grant people was allowed 200 euros per day, and then a lump sum of 600 euros for the travel. And then there were 50 weeks in possible grant, 50 grants of 1 week each. And the deadline for application was a running deadline. But the point was that there was no salary involved. I'm going back. Well, I cannot find out how to go back here. No. Okay. One of the problems for the mobility is there is no salary involved. So people should go with their salary. And this is sometimes is an obstacle because the organization don't want to leave people going there. Someone said, I'm going on vacation for a period. And but the salary should come from the national projects or for the mobility or the coordination action project process. So this is very simple because the principle is bring your own money. We pay the travel, we pay your stay, but then you have to bring your own money. And money, if you don't have a project, it means that there is no purpose to go in there. Though actually one could go and to immobility to propose projects, to make projects. So the application was very easy because it was a maximum 3 pages. The topic, the methodology, the benefit for the FarmConners objective, and the transfer of knowledge, and also was very important, the level of fairness of data and whatever is being produced. And the evaluation committee was a mobility coordinator and one topical expert chosen by the people that offered themselves as reviewers. The only application was Costanza Colle from SINTEF, 23rd of 28th February. And research topic in connection with the work packages. The one research topic was finalize deliverable D1.4, launch of the common test benchmarking for code comparison. And then there was the work package 3, finalize a paper about that electricity market integration. So they were fully in synchrony with the objective of the program. So the work plan was completed, and the milestone and the deliverable were delivered. And the other two, I mean, let's see what happened for next year. So this is this activity, but then since this activity and there has not been very much mobility, there is a huge amount of money left. So it was as Costanza said, also was we were asked to propose some new tasks for this amount of budget of money left. Then afterward, Gregor will tell about this. But then at the end, we decided to retain a small, I mean, at least it was proposed to retain a small amount of grants. So 5 grants for 2 weeks and 5 grants for 7 weeks. If will be an opening of with the COVID-19. In the budget in the budget for mobility and network allocated for the coordination, we'll use only 29%. So there is also some budget left there. Yeah, that is all I wanted to say.
Hi, Ana Maria. Thanks a lot for this presentation. Well, I understand that this is one of the work packages that is really largely affected by COVID, since we have this restriction of movement. So I understand that you do not have a lot to analyze, since you only have one case of a colleague that used this mobility fund arrangement. At the report you mentioned at a certain point, let me see, that you will prepare a contingency plan for the mobility activities in fall in case the lockdowns will continue. I guess this new budget is part of this plan. Are you going to make an overall new plan, foresee other activities for the unspent budget or alternative ways of what exactly this contingency plan will include, and if it's ready?
Well, yeah, the plan is to have these 10 grants left for potential people that would like to go and use this mobility. So we retain this 20,200 euros. And then the one which is left, then Gregor has asked people to make some proposal, as Costanze said, proposed for the task. And I also made a proposal for this, which is not connected to the mobility. I think Gregor will present the 5 proposal afterward, so you can see, and then we can discuss when Gregor will present this. If you agree, because the plan is that there is this budget, and then let's see what we can do with that. And then everybody came with a proposal.
So yeah, so far I can say it's part of the work package 6 discussion in the afternoon. I collected some proposals so far, mainly from the work package leads, and I discussed it with the work package leads, and I didn't have time to in detail discuss it with the whole consortium. But that's part of the discussion for this afternoon.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. That's it
but
from my
anyway,
side.
a report can be what is the effect of the COVID on the mobility. I mean, kind of impact. I mean, after this period, I can go and ask people. I mean, what is now? Are you planning to go in mobility? What retains you to apply for the mobility and so on? I mean, that could be an interesting report, actually.
Okay, we can further discuss that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have questions to work package 4 on the mobility grants? I guess the problem is that at least right now, it doesn't seem that there is any mobility across country borders possible. And even within countries, it's very difficult. And essentially, we have to foresee that this situation sticks with us until probably spring. And after spring, there's not really much of the project left. But if we want to prepare, then that would need to be prepared pretty much now. There's also the conference in Hanover, the Wind Energy Science Conference, that might, now that completely was virtualized already. So they said they can't do it. I've also had a mail from the European Geophysics Union that said we are going completely virtual, just like last year, but just like this year. And so it seems that most conferences are now really preparing also for going completely virtual. So that again relieves travel money in the back. So we're well ahead of the progress, and maybe Tuve, you could take your work package 5 discussion now.
Sure thing. Let me share my screen. Okay. Do you see the right screen now?
I don't think so.
It's not? Okay.
This looks just like a background.
Okay. Let me try one more time. What about now?
Yes, that's good.
Okay. Okay, great. Right, so this is about work package 5, which has the communication and dissemination activities within the FarmConners. Many of it has already been talked because it is a coordination action. Many of the dissemination activities as well as some communication activities are already included as deliverables in the other technical work packages, but we will go through them per objectives as we have in work package 5. So the first objective we have within work package 5 is the effective communication and dissemination of FarmConners results. The first deliverable we had was creating the visual identity for FarmConners. So that included logo and the templates, which have been established by external help from very early on in the project. And you have been seeing that in all the presentations and all the deliverables submitted and so on. And then we have the project website that was up and running also. And then we have also established a LinkedIn profile. Currently, we have 117 followers. And then we also have a Wind Farm Control YouTube channel, which doesn't have as many subscribers, but this is where we have been putting our videos on, both the recordings from the workshops, as well as the webinars followed afterwards. So within the objective of the effective communication and dissemination of FarmConners, we have also the dissemination of the results. The first one was the Wind Europe Offshore Conference, which was still happening physically last year, September. We have submitted a poster for that, which was the results of the first workshop we have organized. That was in Amsterdam. And that poster got a poster award. You can see that in the background over here, a little snippet of it. And then we also presented 2 papers at TORC, which was a part of work package 1, as Filippo mentioned. And that has happened last month this year. And you can see also the snippets of those 2 papers that has been discussed and presented in TORC. So as an additional little feature, we had also, you have seen in work package 1 on the left-hand side, which is the FarmConners benchmark cases. And then on right, we have the FarmConners market showcases. So we have put a public repos for both of these ongoing sort of benchmarks and showcases that are open for external participants. And these public reports have also been feeding into the documentation, as you can see. So over here, we have FarmConners.read the docs. And on the right-hand side, we have FarmConners market showcases.read the docs. So this was also established, and it made it a lot easier for to communicate with the participants, because they also include the registration forms and also a lot of guidelines and information, detailed information about both of the platforms. So the second objective we had within work package 5 was the organization of events, which was a lot more fun in the first 6 or 7 months of the projects. So the first organization that we had for the FarmConners was the state-of-the-art in wind farm control workshop, and that has been co-organized with the IEA Wind Topical Expert Meeting about farm flow control at the time. So that has happened last year, September, in Amsterdam. This picture you have already seen. That was also a part of work package 1, and we have connected it with the kickoff meeting. And we have recorded many of the discussions over there. So the entire workshop is still available on the Wind Farm Control YouTube channel. And the second event we have organized also in person right before, you can say, the COVID actually hit all over Europe. That was in Leuven. happened early February last year. And this was also recorded, and the whole discussion is available on the YouTube channel, and that was part of work package 3. And then another event this time by that timeline within the project, COVID has already hit. So all the talk conference being extended or postponed and changed format to online. And we wanted to get participants as early as possible to the benchmark. We have organized a separate independent online webinar that was in 12th of June this year. And we had more than 40 participants for that. And we have additional 93 views in the YouTube video, which is on our channel right now. So as a result, we have, as Filippo said, currently 11 participants for that particular benchmark. So the third and the last objective we had within work package 5 is the constructive and continuous liaison with external partners, which has also COVID maybe affected slightly. But the first efforts that we did was actually come up with the initial data management plan, which is rather critical for a project like FarmConners, because we have both the benchmark and the showcases, which has included a lot of the data, not necessarily generated within FarmConners, but at least coordinated and collected under FarmConners umbrella. So the data management plan and who's responsible for what type of the data, which part that is in the benchmark, which part in the showcases, and coming up with the security systems and so on. So this was delivered approximately 1.5 months later than planned. So that was the only delay we had within work package 5, but it is prepared regardless. And that's the initial format of it that is to be continuously updated as benchmark and or the showcases changes shape. And then we have continued or try to come strong under the new normality, which is not necessarily new any longer, but we are so used to having online meetings now. So that was one of the consortium meetings we had a bit before the summer. And many of the partners, especially having that many people lying all over Europe, we have swiftly adopted the online tools, and we have switched all our meetings to online platforms, just like right now. And all the conferences turned into webinars, and we have also had to launch our own independent webinar to sort of come up or catch up with the changes. And we are having continuous online meeting per tasks within the technical work packages. They are happening bi-weekly, some of them are happening weekly maybe at times, and keeping up with all the work, this time online platforms, not necessarily having the mobility option anymore, physical mobility option anymore, but still working online. So that adoption was quite swift, and I want to thank also for all our partners to be able to adapt to that quickly. So what about the future? So in the near future, we have been talking a lot about the West Conference coming up in May. So Gregory and Willem, Johan Myers and Paul Fleming and many others proposed the wind farm control mini symposium at WESC. So we have a mini symposium. You will see a little introduction of it in the next slide. And we are also going to have a side event in Hamburg certification, Hamburg on certification, and that's going to be part of work package 2, which as far as I'm concerned is still a discussion if it's going to be a side event itself or an independent, like the webinar, FarmConners benchmark webinar we have had. But the conference itself has already changed the date, so that was supposed to be in September, now it's in December, and the format is going to be online. So the organization of another webinar is in the future. That's also going to be within the content of work package 5. And then the last bullet point is the very first workshop that we had that was co-organized with IEA Wind Topical Expert Meeting 97, and that has actually gave birth to a new IEA Wind task, and that's going to be task 44. That's starting right now, and that has a strong collaboration with FarmConners. So that's that is also within the communication activities that is defined in work package 5. And this is a snippet in WESC 2021 for wind farm control mini symposium. And as mentioned earlier, the application for the abstracts are all the way to mid-January next year. So that's all for work package 5.
Hi, Tukfe. Thank you for this nice presentation. I have some comments. So for the report, I would appreciate to have some indicators out of the, in a way, reach out that you have achieved. So because I need to use those numbers also on my behalf when I will present the progress of the project, like website visits, number of webinars, maybe even number of downloads if there are. So I would appreciate to have some this type of numbers, LinkedIn followers or Twitter, all these type of things that you may have used to disseminate and communicate the project.
Yes.
This is the one thing. Second thing is that I think I have not seen the project including a communication dissemination plan. In general, I think it was not part of a deliverable. I think it was not kind of an organized thing, let's say, that usually we see in other projects. I do have to reply to a question if there is a plan and if this is going to be updated. And I think it's relevant because especially with the COVID, I assume that some of the planned communication and dissemination activities have to change nature or I don't know, try to identify different ways of doing things, as for example, transforming a workshop to a webinar or things like that. So if you have this kind of also information, I would also be very happy to receive it, because as I said, I will need to reply. A third thing is regarding the open access publication of the project. I saw that you have two, which were in open access, and that's quite positive. And I even read the articles, and they were quite nice. There is a third one that was foreseeing the minutes of the IEA, I think, workshop that were relatively recently published. I think I saw in the website that this was not peer-reviewed. This is a detail. Is this going to be peer-reviewed also? Because I saw this will be just in green access. This is also a small detail, but I will also need to report to that. And I think that's most of it. I don't know if I have any other comments. Yes, I think that's it from my side.
All right. But a communication and dissemination report sounds like a good idea. We'll come up with one. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Very good. That's it from my side.
Thanks a lot.
Any other questions to communication from the consortium? Because if that is not the case, then the next step is actually the lunch break. So I would say we are back at 1 o'clock. Online meetings have that general tendency of not working very well if you have to stay on the screen for far too long. So we have 1 hour break now, and then talk to you later at 1 o'clock.
Should we stay connected, Gregor?
You can. This is going to be open, and I'm just pausing the recording.
Okay, good.
In the meantime, so just feel free to stay connected. Also, if you wanted to use the channel to have some personal discussion, some chit chat, banter, whatever it is, feel free to use this.
Okay.
And as I say, I'm stopping the record or pausing the recording now, so we don't record anything of the lunch break.
I was there this morning as well. Maybe I was a bit later joining,
but not for the round of introductions.
No, sorry for that. Yes, indeed, I was a bit late. So yeah, I can maybe can be relatively brief. So this is actually a initiative that originated from this grand challenge paper that appeared in Science, in the Science journal last year, which is a very high level paper that reached out to all kinds of technical people, not necessarily wind energy, And so the idea by Paul Veers and Catherine Dykes was to actually, try to get a number of papers that go more in depth in terms of the challenges that are still out there for wind energy. And they had, trying to identify different papers. There's various papers. There's papers on atmosphere and turbulence, and there's papers on design and various kind of aspects. And so one of the papers would be grand challenges in wind farm flow control. That's basically the idea. And so we're now actually in the process of setting up a team of authors. Actually, we have more or less a team of authors at the moment. So that could be still extended in the future, but for the beginning, definitely, we have currently about 6. That is a good starting point to start working from. And yeah, so the contents of the work would go also somewhat overlapping, obviously, also with FarmConners in terms of trying to describe the challenges related to wind farm control, and particularly also trying to identify what are the hurdles that you need to take and how far do you need to jump for wind farm control to become really commercially attractive. I think that's one of the things that we would like to realize. Yeah, I don't know whether there's anything more you want me to talk about.
No, I think that's fine. Okay. Any comments to this one?
Hello?
Yep.
Hello? Yes. So just a question on this. I mean, so is the plan to do this grand challenge paper in the same way as was done before, also within the frame of the IEA wind?
So no, it's not in the framework of AI wind. I guess there is also possibly some overlap with the new task that may pop up on wind farm control. But my guess is that we may actually be finished with this paper before that task is fully started. So yes.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, just because I mean that's the thing. I thought I had in the back of my head. I was trying to look for it now, but I couldn't find it. I thought there was something on the on a task that was either related to this or was exactly on this. That's why I was wondering if there was a plan to have any synergy on this, or if the idea was just like you do it on your own and so forth.
Maybe I should reiterate. So as I said, it's Paul Veers and Catherine Dykes that are kind of setting up these different grand challenge papers. There's a whole bunch. I think there's about 7. Maybe, but I'm not aware simply, but maybe they are discussing this in the context of AI wind. That's quite possible, actually. I just don't know, actually. So I should be careful what I say here. But I've not been directly involved myself in those kind of discussions if they're there.
Okay, I mean, fair enough. I mean, I think it's just one of those things that it might be worth checking with them to make sure that there is no double effort on different sides, right? I mean, I particularly really like the grand challenge on wind power research that came out, and I think that part of it was obviously the way that came with it, not only because it was done within the IEA wind, but also because of that there was so many different sides coming and collaborating with it, right? So if there would be something that you within the project would do, but something that they would be doing somewhere else, then it's split. I mean, I can imagine that's probably because they're more or less the same community. You would be converging on the same points, but I mean, there is a certain way that comes with it if it's done collectively, right? But yeah, I mean, I particularly like the idea. As I said, I quite like the previous grand challenge one, so I mean, I don't see why not this one. I mean, the control is something that we're very interested in, so it'd be interesting to see your things.
I can say that, for instance, we have the grand challenge with the data, and we are going in the process to converge with the IEA task 43 with the digitalization, because they were also doing something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it is a rather broad topic, right? I mean, in a certain way, as I said, it's not only about tools, it's not only about system optimization, it's also about data integration, data sharing, knowledge hub. It's a very complex and a very broad topic. So I think it makes sense just to have make sure that like the efforts that are being put are being optimized. And mainly when it comes to the something that is done within the complex project, right? It makes sense that at least there is a certain coordination between this and what is done in other activities. I think that was my only point. But I mean, I do support the idea. I think it's a very, very interesting one for whatever it's worth it. I mean, in the end, Dimitris is really the project officer, but I particularly think that it's a very good one.
Yes. Could we just get who you are? I only see a mobile telephone number from you.
Oh, sorry. Carlos Eduardo, European Commission.
Sorry, who?
Carlos Eduardo Lima da Cunha, the project officer, sorry, the policy officer for wind energy in the European Commission.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, sorry for that. I think somehow, because the way how it's connected, I think I'm connected through the phone on the speaker, but I'm actually seeing the voice, I was seeing the screen from somewhere else. So yeah.
Okay, good, good, good. Do we have more questions or inputs to this one? If that is not the case, then I would go forward, and at least I think I would go forward and present. As I mentioned, there is a discussion lacking with the leadership of the IEA Wind Task, and I hope to do that this week. So we haven't really defined how this would actually fit together, but I'm an operating agent of an IEA task myself, and I know that one of the big hindrances of IEA tasks is that everyone is essentially only there on their own money. And if we could make sure that this community goes forward, using some of the money that we didn't spend here in FarmConners, I think that would be a good thing. So in a way, give it a little push to get started, and having some experts doing some of the things that are actually ideas of the IEA task, but also within the realm of FarmConners. And it's NREL, so it's Paul Fleming and TU Delft, Jan-Willem van Wingerden as operating agents, and both Senera and DTU are slated to be work package leads. So we are in discussions, but this proposal hasn't been discussed either with the consortium, with the full consortium, or with the IEA task, which I hope to do. But as you can see from the work packages, there's a number of things that actually fit together with the task, with the FarmConners description as well. So there is quite some overlap. And maybe Jan-Willem, you can say something about it. You were a bit skeptic at the beginning, but I hope we can figure out how we can, whether we can collaborate or how we can collaborate.
Oh, I think the summary is correct. I think we still have to discuss this internally, and I think it's good that we have a discussion somewhere this week to identify the overlap and see how we can strengthen the proposal. So the IEA task and FarmConners. You mentioned that it's a good thing to have money allocated. Sometimes you prefer that there is no money involved, because then people are present because they're interested in the topic, instead of they have money to work on the topic. But that's something we can discuss later. But your summary is correct. Let's have a meeting somewhere this week together with Paul.
Good. So that is essentially what we had in terms of ideas, what we could do with the extra money that we have in the project.
Okay, now that you concluded this presentation, just to, it was good that I also heard the discussions and the ideas. For me, the crucial point will be when you will decide on your own what is the changes that you foresee and how you think the budget available could be well spent. And when you have consolidated all your ideas and you have elaborated enough, I will be happy to receive your input, because then I will also have to sit internally. This is something that I need to agree also with my hierarchy, and it's very good that Eduardo is also there, because I will consult him as well with his specialization on the topic, and then I will come back to you. So as soon as you finalize all the changes that you foresee, I would welcome to receive your input, and then we can take it forward. This is also in terms of next steps, what we would see. Since this part also includes some discussion on the deviations, which of course we have seen already. There were a few things that, as I said at the beginning, I had the financial officer had spotted. Is this the right moment that I raise them? You want me to send you in writing? You want me to? Yeah, I'm not really sure how you want that.
Before you do that, there's one thing that I'd like to have clarified, and that is what is the EU's view on not using budget, or what is your INEA's or DG Research's view on not spending budget? Is that
in INEA? It is. We have done that, especially recently with projects that did not manage to use all the budget. It is a very simple process of just paying the money that you justify, and the remaining money is used for future programs. So it's money that they will be used in the future work programs of Horizon Europe. That will be probably the next. So it's fine if you don't use all the budget. In case, for good reasons, of course, you have not managed to fulfill some of the tasks, and unused budget for travel is, of course, something that we can very well justify due to the COVID. So don't worry if you still have used less of the budget foreseen for this type of reasons at the end. That's at least how we have dealt so much. I don't know if Kadu has a different view from DGRTT, who gives us the money.
No, I mean, I think what is important is that it's money well spent, and that there is a coordination between the actions, right? Which is why I was saying that I think it makes sense to see what the IEA is doing. But in general, I mean, yes, I mean, if you somehow manage to achieve the same goals as you set up yourself to, obviously within the conditions that we have now, with less budget than what you expected. I mean, from a public spending position, that's great, right? I mean, we have now more money to fund something else, and we can just have a better distribution of the funds. So from that perspective, it's pretty good. What is just important is that obviously you as a project achieve the goals that you set up yourself to do, right? There is obviously a policy direction that we would like you to achieve. So I mean, that in an ideal world should be achieved, right? But yeah, I mean, and I think that's a bit of on how we work together with INEA, for instance, right? In making sure that the goals that we want to achieve politically are actually firm, and we're actually stepping on kind of like very solid ground, and that's what Dimitris is really helping us to do here.
Good. That is a bit of a deviation from what I heard about before, but that is probably 1 or 2 framework programs back, and that was that any unspent money in a project would actually go back into the general budget of the EU and fund alternative street theater in Bulgaria, or big farmers in other places, and so that wouldn't be available for research. So there seems to have been a change since I last heard about that.
Well, the biggest proof. Sorry, Kadu, just to say that the biggest proof of money that have not been used for projects of Horizon Europe, Horizon 2020, and were reused for research and innovation was the Green Deal call. or the Green Deal Goal funds, or most of them, came from unused budget from Horizon 2020 projects. I think Kadu can confirm that.
Yes, that's exactly how it happened. Yeah. So I mean, that's the thing I was gonna say. I think that I cannot tell about FP5, FP6, FP7, and so on and so forth. But I can tell you that in Horizon 2020 and Horizon Zero, the money that has been ring-fenced for Horizon Zero is going to be kept in Horizon Zero, unless somehow the program dissolves, right? I mean, so much might be to the end of the program. What does happen is that the money that is not spent, for instance, on wind energy might not necessarily go back to wind energy. This can happen, right? I mean, but funds that are allocated for research will keep on being on research, right? It might just be that instead of being, for instance, on wind energy, it might go, I don't know, for batteries and storage, or might go that is not even something related to energy, might go to health. This can happen. It depends a lot on how it's done. There is a certain way how we cascade the money internally. It has to do a bit with some prioritizations that normally energy is pretty high. Obviously now with COVID, on health has been put on high priority, so might be that some funding would go that way. On the other hand, would just be funding a different fellow researcher in a different area, but still would be research. So if that's of your concern.
Okay, good. But just to be sure, you wouldn't be opposed to us actually spending our own money for something that is within the overall framework of FarmConners. So
no, in principle we wouldn't, of course, but that's what it's now your task to justify well what are the new tasks, why they are connected with the overall objectives of the project. It's what exactly Kadu said, that at the end of the day we need to ensure that what we promised in the grant agreement we have achieved, and if the additional actions that you're proposing are adding value to what anyway the objectives were, we will of course can give our blessing to that. But it has to be very, very detailed. You have to explain where we use budget from, how many person months will require each task, and what will be at the end the added value that it will give.
Yes, good. So
that's and for and you let me know if you want me to go into details of some deviations that either I can send them on in writing.
We might as well go through it here, because we have all the relevant people also on the call. So it might be easier to just do this right now than to go through email.
Okay, if it's the right moment, then I can. Okay, first of all, we have the most serious thing is that INOG have not submitted the financial statement. And of course, I will need to know if we will proceed the payment without waiting for the issue to be solved, to the amendment or whatever, or we wait until they fix the things, but we don't have too much time, of course. The payment, as you have probably seen in the initial presentation that I did in the kickoff meeting, needs to be concluded within 90 days. This is a strict deadline that we need to respect. So if we cannot have a very fast amendment, we can consider of paying without paying INOG, and then in the second payment at the end of the project, we'll include the payments of the first reporting period that we have not included here. So this is the one issue.
Is that is that sort of automatic, or do we have to request that? Do we have to say that INOG is not going to deliver? Because I talked to Klaus here over the lunch break, and he said it's a lot of different financial systems that they are currently integrating, and they have the numbers of INOG up to end of June, but since then they really have a hard time figuring out all these numbers, and they'll be happy to deliver that at the end of the second reporting period. And usually you could say, no, we cannot make it to this reporting period, so we'll add that at the end.
Just a comment here. This is David from RWE. So I think I would like to wait until Klaus joins the call at 2. But something he mentioned is that we wanted to basically submit
no numbers, but we didn't submit anything because we thought that is the way of not submitting any numbers. But I guess we didn't officially submit the 0 numbers, which is kind of delaying the process. That's what I understood. So us having trouble with finding the numbers at the moment is not the issue. It's just that we need to submit a report. Is that correct?
Well, it's what I said at the beginning. You can still justify. Now you're in the middle. Actually, you're not in the middle now. It's ended, I guess, the merge or the absorption of the previous company. If it is for a good reason that you did not manage to submit a financial statement, we can proceed to the payment of the rest of the financial statements without a big issue. If we believe that the justification is fine, that you did not have the time, or because of this merge you could not really identify the right figures, and you will do that in the second reported period. This is an option. But if you think we could conclude the amendment quickly, we could still include a financial statement from Innogy from the first reporting period. But this needs to be done quite quickly, as I said, because we have a deadline to pay, and we really need to respect that. Hope that was clear.
David, as far as I understood, for you it would be fine to say no. We'll deal with that in the second reporting period. We just say.
I would really wait another 10 minutes for Klaus to join, because he knows all the administrative stuff. Like I said, I'm not so familiar with that.
Can we then go through the other issues?
We have the time to wait.
So another is the financial. So in some cases we have deviations in the average rate of for personal costs. So this is an automatic calculation of the system, and depending on what was declared in the grant agreement, so you have some costs that the overall budget that was foreseen for personnel for person months for personnel cost, and it calculates the average cost of personnel, and we have seen some deviations there. And for SINTEF, there is a deviation of 31%, but this is justified in the technical report because SINTEF said that they have used less senior scientists. So for them, it's fine. Then I have the beneficiary 7, UOL, who have not used any resources in the first reporting period. Just the question is this according to the schedule? So was there any participation of people from UOL foreseen and they did not use them, or it's all their participation for the second reporting period?
I think I'll let Vlaho directly speak for himself.
Exactly, thanks. So Vlaho Petrovic from University of Oldenburg here. Basically, we are planning to put most efforts in the second year, because in work package 1, we are in charge of summarizing the results coming from benchmarking, and also now we are working on some papers for work page 3. So the plan is to put most of our effort in the second year.
But
so it's according to the plan.
My question was more, sorry for interrupting, my question was more that you have not used any resources for the first reporting period. Is that fine? Is that something
That's
that
fine.
you... Okay, it was something that was according to the plan. Okay, that was my question. Then it is a very minor, of course, amount, but it's a huge deviation. I make this introduction for Vestas. Vestas have only declared the use of 0.13 person months for the first reporting period. That's why I say it's a minor issue, but the deviation shows to be 300%. Just to make it clear, the average cost for Vestas was foreseen at 8,000 euros, the average personnel cost, and by using 0.13 person months and declaring 4,000 euros for resources used, this shows that the average cost of this very small amount of resources used is 33,000 euros. So either there is a mistake there or a good reason for having such an expensive 0.13 person months used. I hope that was clear. Do we have Vestas there?
Mahmoud is not here, but Paul is here. I'll take that to our project manager.
Okay.
And get that clarified. I could see we have been working on work package 2, but no hours were logged on that, so there might have been something there. Is it okay? I take that.
Yeah.
Yes, you could, but just if I can help, the effort spent shows also in the technical report in page 22 in the work package 1, so not work package 2. So in work package 1, there is you declared that there was an effort of 0.13 person months.
But just not to take up everyone's time with this, can I?
Yes,
And because I can't answer.
Yeah.
So yes, if you can help, you can send over what's been logged, and then I'll take it up with my project manager, and we'll get back to you.
Sure. Okay. Then what else do I have? Okay, the rest are really minor things that I will put in the report, like some dates missing for traveling or some confirmation for the SME that you have, quite usual stuff, and a confirmation for an audit. So I don't have to go into details. That was all.
Okay. Lovely. So that then would actually bring us already towards the end of the meeting, right?
Yes, if you ask me, I don't have any more issues to raise.
Okay, so the next things that we need to do is to get these proposals for further work done. Again, all partners, if you are interested in getting something in that realm funded, I already had an extra idea that I discussed with DNVGL, but which isn't really ripe for public yet. Then let's discuss that, and we should be relatively quick, because as I understand also from Klaus from RWE, we'll be getting that amendment in due time, and we'd like to roll everything into one, because there's no reason to make several. Which is a good point that Klaus wanted to arrive a bit later, but maybe that only concerns us from DTU and you, Dimitri, because it's only very, very administrative.
Yes, sorry, I forgot just one deviation. Now I see it, sorry. But that's fine for me. I can wait for Klaus at 2 o'clock. So it's for University of Delft. I also see here a big deviation in terms of average personnel cost used. So it's a 73% deviation. I guess that your colleagues will have to check into that, because I will include it in the technical report. That means that they had an average cost foreseen around 7,000 euros according to the grant agreement, and according to what they have declared, it seems to be 12,150 euros, the average cost for personnel. So we will need either a justification or a correction there, just for the colleagues to take up.
Jan Willem, do you have anything to say right away, or is that something you take back to your?
No, I think it makes sense. So the hours spent so far are my hours, and in the future, in part 2, we will use a postdoc. So then the rates will go down. So I think it makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, this type of justifications I would like to be included in the technical report if it's a problem, and then
yeah.
Okay.
Christina, I assume you made notes of all that.
Yes, I did.
Good.
Just another thing, minutes and presentations, I guess we will receive some time after the meeting, right? And
I've been typing away at them already as we speak, and I know Christina did some as well. So it's a bit of unification, and then it should be there tomorrow or so.
And that's great. And am I free to forward them to colleagues in the European Commission, if it's fine for you?
Yes.
So the ones that I invited, it's just a couple of colleagues that are dealing with wind.
Sure.
I think
no problem.
It'll be useful. Great, thank you.
Gregor, Dimitri, just a suggestion. Should we, if we start the meeting now, should we just set up a quick call, invite Klaus for 2 o'clock so we can discuss that topic for RWE/Energy? Because he's just planning on joining at 2 o'clock, but I think it's not for everyone interested.
Yeah, exactly. I would say we just stay here in the room, and everyone else we say goodbye.
Okay. Yeah. Great.
Because that then overall went actually very well. Maybe we can all put on our cameras, and then we have a meeting picture, group picture. Yes, exactly. Coming. Some of you can do these backgrounds. I can't, and unfortunately on Zoom I can't do that. Teams allows me to do it. But, so yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for a nice, good meeting, getting all the information out that we needed. And see you next time. See you probably in this December for the Work Package 2 workshop on certification that we need to organize. And Andreas, I think we need to discuss that a bit more in detail.
Thank you all for my side as well. I'm not
consider the mobility.
Yeah.